Fox News are now outraged this morning, and I'm sure in your living room, after Iran releases new video of U.S. sailors in tears while being detained last month. And this morning it only gets worse. These new pictures show these sailors being mocked at the Iranian Revolution Day parade earlier today in Tehran. Here to react is Fox News strategic analyst Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters. Colonel, I'm outraged. Am I wrong?
Well, you should be outraged, but not just at the Iranians. Because, Brian, past a certain point, you can't blame the Iranians for taking advantage of our fecklessness. I am much more concerned about the deteriorating situation in our military. I mean, look what happened here. You know, the code of conduct was violated. We had sailors gave up without a fight. They're not held in the Hanoi Hilton with John McCain for 5 years. They're held for 16 hours, and you've got them breaking down. And as furious friends of mine in the military have observed, these soldiers undoubtedly got their equal opportunity training, their sexual harassment training, but they didn't get their code of conduct training. And the code of conduct for all military members is you never surrender of your own free will. And if captured, you give your name, rank, service number, and date of birth. That's it. You don't break down, you don't do advertisements for the Iranian regime, et cetera, et cetera. So there are questions we've got to answer. One, and the Navy's being quiet about this, did that naval lieutenant in charge surrender on his own, or was he ordered to surrender without a fight by higher authorities in the Navy? If so, that's even worse. But we've got to, Brian, we've just got to decide. We've come to the point where we've got to decide. What is the purpose of our military? Is it social engineering to redress all grievances, real or imagined, or is it to fight our nation wars and win?
Colonel, it's not even clear that they breached the waterways of Iran, number one. Number two is Iran was saying the USS Harry Truman was hovering around doing things that they didn't like. Was the Harry Truman pulled back instead of going out and getting our guys back? And why is it that the Navy has not come clean about what really took place? Why haven't we had a chance to talk to some of these guys? Why haven't they been made available to us? Is that too much to ask?
Well, I think the Navy is very, very embarrassed by this. But let's be clear about what happened. Whether or not those two patrol boats entered Iranian waters, and it's in dispute, whether or not they did, nonetheless, the way the Iranians behaved in legal terms was an act of war.
But we hailed them. We hailed them for their actions.
So we are told. Yeah. Oh, yes, yes, yeah. Well, you know, and that's the problem. When you've got a military that's conditioned not to fight, to avoid conflict at all costs, when you've got a Secretary of State who thanks the Iranians for how they handled this situation, again, I go back to the beginning. How can I blame the Iranians for making fun of us when we've set it up ourselves? I mean, and Brian, you've got to worry, because at some point, this is going to spin out of control. The Iranians are going to keep getting bolder and bolder, and people are going to die, and if not in the Persian Gulf, elsewhere.
Colonel, thanks so much. You fight the wars, you write about the wars, and you also have contacts within the Pentagon. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.